so beautiful of like, wow, it's now 10:30. I'm watching a game that I don't even know why I'm watching it. And will I fall asleep on my couch? Maybe, probably.
There were a lot of downsides to the Eagles' schedule last year, both competitively, but also just the sheer amount of primetime games the Eagles played last year. But the absolute best part was the amount of red zone I got to consume, because West Coast, which means that the 1 o'clock window starts at 10 a.m. and nothing is better than getting up. I drive over to my parents' house, and then we just all sit our butts down on the couch, and I just sit there with my coffee, consuming red zone for hours.
Yeah, on the West Coast, you basically get to watch the NFL like it's college football, and like and also not have to watch until 1 o'clock in the morning. And I am so unbelievably envious of that entire experience.
People say that it's worse, and they are just fundamentally wrong. My football goes from 10 a.m. to at latest 9 p.m. It is the perfect Sunday. Then I have just enough time to shower and get ready for my work day the next day. It is perfect and fantastic.
Recording from New York and Los Angeles, your hosts, Nicole Katz and Briana Klein, are emerging from the tunnel for this week's show. Another sports show is ready to broadcast to you on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Make us one of your stars of the game by subscribing, liking the video, and turning on auto downloads. Before we kick off, please leave us a podcast review and YouTube comment. Attend the postgame on social media for exclusive daily content. Today on Another Sports Show.
We're going to start the show today with the last bit of baseball before we all take a week off for the All Star break. So Nicole's going to give us her takeaways and the results of her predictions from the series of the week. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming All Star shenanigans, events. Then I am very excited to announce that we officially have our first pop culture. I'm not going to give you any more than that. Nicole is going to treat us all to a fantastic experience. Then we get to turn our attention to the NFL offseason. Nicole has some fun superlatives that she's awarding for teams and things that they've done in the offseason so far. And I would stay tuned for them, because these are not going to be the typical, oh, they got the best player in free agency awards. That's all I'll say about that. And we're also going to start our big NFL season preview. We're going to go division by division, and all I will say is that we're going to be judging teams based on how much I panic as an Eagles fan about where they are going into the season. And of course, we finish every single show with the final buzzer. Take it away, voiceover man.
It's another sports show, but it's not.
Which of the MLB League Pass commercials has become the predominant earworm in your life?
Oh.
Have you identified that it's the same 6 commercials on a loop?
I haven't, which is actually on me, I think, then for not noticing which one is suddenly becoming my earworm. I'll report back after. I guess there's no Can I watch the All Star Game in this? How does that work?
Oh, in that, no, but I'm pretty sure it's just on ESPN.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was suddenly going to be fun stats and
alternate
things that I can get for
no.
which would be so fun, which that I am really enjoying. And I don't know if my brain has just gotten so used to watching via F1 multi-viewer races, and now I just kind of wish and expect that in everything. But that's definitely giving a leg up in my MLB experience of being able to look at all different kinds of alternative feeds or data or different things like that. I'm just so it's not just hit the ball, run around, wait around, eat a hot dog, let's sing the 7th inning stretch,
which is fun. And if you want to consume baseball that way, I'm totally for it, but I know you're not that type of fan,
right? That's why I always struggled of baseball is fun and it's long and there's I just could never grasp fully everything else that was going on, because I just didn't get it, or there just wasn't a way to consume it, or it wasn't being fed to me, because even when you're watching it on TV, the commentary is not that.
So 2 crucial things in me becoming a more avid baseball fan. 3. Number 1, Bryce Harper going to the Phillies was a big turning point. 2, but in the context of what we're talking about, 1 is MLB Game Cast, to your point, where it's I can see the pitches and I can start identifying what they're throwing, and you could really start to actually learn to understand what you're seeing in a way that is so far beyond anything that I was previously doing and understanding. And then the second thing was the ability to turn on the radio broadcast, because radio is calling the game. So the fact that I can like passively watch because I can listen and walk away and they're going to tell me the balls and the strikes and the details, versus like if you watch the TV broadcast, you have to like very much be paying attention while they're admittedly talking about fun things like a sandwich they ate that day or something silly. Like there's 162 baseball games you have to call. I understand that you're going to be talking about like fun, silly things all the time. But yeah, being able to listen to the radio and watch Gamecast are like pivotal.
That's the radio has been particularly helpful on especially like weekday games when I also need to be like doing other things because I am an adult, but I also want to be able to listen to the sports. Like, ooh, radio, it doesn't seem so revolutionary, but now being able to have that with an app to still be able to like everything at once, definitely very, very helpful. So
you like joke like woo revolutionary, but to someone who's in our age demographic or younger, like we're both in our late 20s, like of course it is not our go-to instinct to say like maybe this would be better on radio.
No,
like that's just not how we were raised. But now I'm like, oh wow, yeah, radio, super helpful, super great. Totally understand why baseball was super popular in the 1930s. Like this sport
closed captioning for baseball basically is what I'm receiving, and it's fantastic.
The audio guide for TV.
I'm in the museum and I have the earpiece and I'm walking around and then someone is telling me exactly what I'm looking at, exactly what I'm seeing or not seeing.
We don't have to talk about this next thing this week, but I've been dying to bring it up to you. Have you noticed that in the commercial breaks, they do on MLB League Pass, like all these fun things that would have happened in a ballpark? Like they do the baseball under the baseball hat shuffling game. My favorite has been the horoscope random readings they do. Like
yeah,
it's
really
so
trying to get
fun.
the co-star people to like really be getting along. And that is a call out I wanted to make. I love the like hat shuffle anything because of course, no surprise, at any sporting event I get way too unbelievably into that sort of thing. So being able to like scream that from the comfort of my own home just really adds to the entire experience.
Well, marketing brain on for a second. The in baseball park experience is one of the best sporting experiences. Like going to baseball games, no matter like the degree of how much baseball I watch in a year, I will always love going to a baseball game. And I've just really enjoyed the attempt to bring some of that silliness to the watching experience.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's just like, why not?
Because it's such a crucial part of baseball, and it's something that is so special about baseball is that you have, I don't want to say the lull in play, but like the way that the action and sport is set up is that you have just so much more like open air time to be interacting with fans. And so to be able to take advantage of that, whether it's in person or being able to like tie that back at home, then like just creates the full circle all around experience. It is what baseball has the ability to do and always has done and can do.
Nicole predicts a ball game. Nicole predicts the series. Give her almost no info and stats. We don't care if she doesn't know bat. Let us root for her predictions. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out in our prediction game.
MLB Series of the Week.
Woo! We're back, week 2 of my adventure into watching series, and I still just feel like Briana is purposefully giving me Phillies games to watch because no, definitely not.
Definitely not.
We're not doing that on purpose. Because this is what she just, well, they're the best team in baseball, so of course I'm going to have you watching the Phillies because they're the best team in baseball. And this is where then I say, I am having so much fun watching baseball, and don't tell the Mets. I am having so much fun watching the Phillies. It is incredible how even in the last 2 weeks, the Phillies have been the preferred series for me to watch. And maybe that's just, I don't know, the universe playing a joke on me in some type of way.
Don't tempt me. I'll start giving you bad teams matched up against bad teams or good teams matched up against bad teams for your series of the week.
Which would just be bad content.
Right. Well, it's just I don't want to make you suffer through watching that. Like, it's much more enjoyable for you to get to know the best teams with the best storylines.
Right. And I think I will say that in a way, this was also like the first time I was watching a Phillies game, because this was the first series that I got to watch with Schwarber and Bryce Harper back. And you could tell that like everyone was just like electric and alive. And I was like,
you also got our good pitchers.
Yeah.
Like, it's in the Phillies fandom, it's been so funny. It's like, so we punted the Braves series, which feels wrong to say. By executive producer.
He's like deciding part. He's like, I don't want to hang out anymore. I don't want to hear about the Phillies. I'm a Mets fan. I'm going to leave. Mets. She's a traitor. How dare my mom do this?
If you're listening on audio, by the way, of course, one of the executive producers stopped in. But if you're a normal audio listener, if you ever hear a bark in the background, I would just pop over to YouTube.
For the translation.
I might close caption the translations while I'm editing of what the executive producer is yelling at us from across the room.
Exactly. Really makes his opinions heard. Yes, to the point of the pitching felt incredible. I mean, game one until Wheeler was taken out felt like it was lights out. I was just like, okay, strikeout. Like, okay, we got it. Cool. This is just here for the strikeout show. And it was the first game was, I mean, the Phillies dominated that series unbelievably, but particularly that first game, it felt like I was watching two teams in different leagues. Like, it didn't really feel fair, but like that's sports.
And that's the second best team in the National League. Arguably, well, not even arguably, they're the team with the best odds to win the World Series, and the Phillies made them look silly. Okay, I'm done being obnoxious. You can give actual takeaways. I'm glad you had fun watching the series.
You're very allowed. And yeah, and especially like I was ready for all the commentary coming in of just like the readiness of like Bryce Harper and like breaking down like every single like, oh, this is the same move that happened and when he hurt himself and then, and is he okay and needs to stretch, and it's like everything's fine. Everyone looks great and everyone looks fabulous and everyone is fine.
Harper went like 0-4, like I don't think Harper had a single hit the entire series.
Yeah, but like,
which is crazy to me. Like my favorite thing is when we make teams look silly. Oh, hold on, I'll hit it for myself.
I know, I was about to be like,
we alert.
Yeah. Okay. My favorite thing is when the Phillies make teams look silly and Bryce doesn't do well. That's magical.
Yeah. I mean, at no point in the entire series were the Dodgers ever ahead. Like, not even once. So,
I mean, there's a lot being said about, like, yeah, they did not have their full strength starting pitching. Mm-hmm. And the Phillies took advantage of it.
100%.
The Phillies, like, they're missing Mookie, but it was an almost full strength Dodgers lineup. And we're missing JT.
Mm-hmm.
We alert.
The Phillies are missing JT. So I think that's relatively balanced-ish. And they hit 5 runs. Oh my God. Did you see any of the, like, or pay attention to Ohtani's face both times Strom struck him out?
In my lovely little notebook says, because as a noob, I will take my notes as I watch the game. I have Strom pitching to Ohtani, game 2, 7th inning. It was just the moment of like, okay, we're done. And the crowd goes insane and why, but like, yeah, you could just, the look on his face the entire time. Yeah.
I won't get into either of these things in aggressive detail in this segment because we got to move on and talk about the Yankees Orioles. But I will point out that we will be talking about Trey Turner's Grand Slam and the heater that Trey Turner is on in the postgame this week. And then also Johan Rojas, like, with one of the most incredible catches I have ever seen, ever. Like, he is just so impressive on defense. It's crazy.
Lights out electric baseball. So very fun, enjoyable series to watch. Don't tell Mr. Met.
I see why Mrs. Met was attracted.
100%. That Philly fanatic, though.
How was the Yankees-Orioles series? And can we just start by talking about the brawl?
Yeah, I mean, that's my big notes is, okay, well, first off, very wrong. At the time of recording, it is a 2-0 series. I was like, the Yankees are going to get swept. That didn't happen, so I'm wrong. I'm wrong, sorry, Yankees, but whatever. The brawl. that also feels like such an aggressive word to be using. So Houston Kierstad gets hit with a ball, and everyone's like, let's evacuate the dugout and let's go. Just have to start with, I loved watching the line running out of the bullpen. Always and forever.
It's the best part of baseball brawls.
Hysterical.
It is my favorite thing is watching both the teams like evacuate their bullpen and have to like run across the entire field. And by the time they get there, it is always settled down by then.
We want to go. We want to be there. We want to be involved. We're a part of it too. Get there just in time to like be on the outside, and they're like, us. Yeah, that felt crazy. It's also just really funny when there's anything like this happening in baseball, because it's such not like, you don't think like contact sport. So just for this to just erupt in such a way.
No one compares about like compares. No one cares more about like rules of the game and like proper conduct than baseball. They've gone away from it in the last couple of years, which I find more enjoyable, but I mean, I can 100% understand why the Orioles are pissed. Shocker.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do a mini Broad Street versus Broadway.
Broad Street versus Broadway. But is it really a debate? Because voiceover man is Team Broad Street, and that makes the vote 2-1 on this show. Let's go, Birds.
F the Yankees. This series reignited my hatred for the Yankees. You know they have plunked 10 Orioles this season. This was the 10th.
They've hit 10. The Orioles have hit 3 Yankees. So like it's like so brewing and was blatant. I don't want to say on purpose, because that just whatever. Blah, blah, blah.
Well,
10-3 is kind of crazy.
Yeah. My favorite thing about this is either you as a pitcher need to say, I'm bad at my job, I have poor command, I lost the ball. Or you have to say, I did this on purpose. I hit you with 100-mile-per-hour fastball. So it's so funny to listen to all the Yankees be like, of course we didn't do it on purpose. Great, so your command's bad. No, my command is perfect. And it's
he's great. He knows exactly. It's like, you can't do both. You have to pick one. So which one do you want to side on? That he sucks or he's evil? Like, you're just a bully. But yeah, the 10-3 was nuts. I mean, rightfully so. So much of sports is mental, and you could definitely see going into this game, like the mental state of all teams across the board had like a lot on the line of like Yankees trying to not be trash anymore, and just like, Orioles.
Yeah, this was big for the Yankees.
It was huge for the Yankees. It was huge for the Orioles. And then end of that first game, when the brawl happened, like you could Yankees were dominating that whole game, so like things were high, and then it was just the prime opportunity to just like really let it all out. So the mental state here, I think, was really strong, and then clearly boiled over into game 2.
This is me leaning into superstition over super stupid, but this further cemented the Yankees as the evil empire they always are to me. Because I feel like in any other game, a brawl like this, that would be an emotional turning point for the Orioles. Where it's like, let's rally behind our guy. Like, our manager got ejected. Like, I know that for the Phillies, that's how it normally happens. When there's some emotional moment like this, it's like, we're going to defend our guy. We're all in this together. And the fact that the Yankees, it felt like they were like, yeah, I remember who we are as a team. We're the bad guys. And then they just kept getting better.
Used it as fuel to lean into it. Something else that I seem to like pick up within baseball and really love is that it seems like once a manager gets thrown out, they take that opportunity of being like, okay, well, I'm thrown out already. Let's floor it and just keep screaming even more because I'm already thrown out. So I'm not just going to leave. I'm going to just really get into it and like 150% just, do what I think would be deserved getting thrown out of a game, which is great and fun. Again, it's like that, like we're all by the rules until they like don't have to be anymore. And then it's like, let's explode.
Umps across the board tend to be a little quick on the ejections. So I normally am very behind for example, an ump threw out Trey Turner for like turning around and saying words to him this week. And then I wholeheartedly supported, Rob running out there and screaming at the ump. It's like, well, at this point, who cares? You already threw out my player, because umps can't take back throwing.
Yeah.
More often than not, umps throw someone out too quickly in baseball, it feels.
It seems like it's an immediate judge. It always looks like it's way too quick, which is why it suddenly then escalates so very quickly. It's almost like they know that this is going to happen, which will then just cause them to explode enough that they would be thrown out anyway.
Welcome to the Midsummer Classic. I love that the MLB All Star Game has a secondary name.
Yeah, that sounds like it's trying to be too fancy for what it is. The Midsummer Classic. That just makes me think of the Winter Classic for hockey. Yeah, I get Midsummer Classic. Sounds a lot fancier than the event where a majority of people will be consuming hot dogs should be named.
I don't know. I like it. There's some nostalgic stuff about baseball that I just find I don't know, nostalgic. That's the only word I can think of. Well, one important thing you should know about the All-Star Game that I forget every single year since this change is that the All-Star Game no longer determines the home team in the World Series. For about 15 years and most of our lives, the All-Star Game winner, whether it was the NL or AL, became the home team in the World Series because they wanted to add stakes to the All-Star Game. And let me tell you, it definitely added the stakes.
But you know what? I guess that kind of makes sense. It could be one of those very emotional things that players get very invested in.
I think that because baseball is a non-contact sport, and when a pitcher's up there and they're pitching and the hitter's there and they're hitting, they will be trying. Cool things you can be looking for are pitcher-hitter matchups that we might see in the playoffs. So you can get matchups that we don't see often with a certain AL hit pitcher and an NL hitter that could be previews for something.
Could get a little bit more of prediction, combination, swapping, and several at once. It's not just throughout a whole game, which I guess could give you not the best judge, but also better than nothing.
Right. It means a lot to the players. Unlike the NFL Pro Bowl, where all those players are for a while they were at least I get to go to Hawaii. But now it's they're all trying to get out of it because who cares, and they just want their season to be over.
And
this
it's just
matters.
flag football and
right.
It's
this actually really matters to these players getting into the All-Star Game. Christopher Sanchez, the Phillies pitcher who's made it 8 Phillies going to the All-Star Game, is his goals for this season were get a new contract, get selected to the All-Star Game, win a World Series. He's clearly outlined that those it really matters to players in a way that it doesn't in other sports.
Would you say that because of how passionate or how athletes genuinely care about being part of the All-Star Game is the biggest, if I guess maybe not one of them, that really would set the All-Star Game apart from all the other All-Star Games? Why is the MLB All-Star Game probably the top tier All-Star Game style experience? Fans, players, kind of across the board.
Because the players actually want to be there, and they can actually still play the game. The NFL can't play the game without injuring because it's a contact sport. I'm not here, I'm not a big All-Star Game person. I probably will have it on in the background quietly. But I do think, to answer your question, comparing to other All-Star Games, that's why this one, I would say, is the best All-Star Game. But I do think the Home Run Derby's dumb. And unlike everything I just said about the All-Star Game, the Home Run Derby, no one wants to participate in it ever. They have to beg, scream, and cry to get All-Stars to participate in the Home Run Derby for the most part.
Which makes sense that I love the Home Run Derby.
Right. And I'm going to say this because I know you're not going to take offense to it. The Home Run Derby, when I was 12, was the coolest thing ever. I don't think they should stop doing the Home Run Derby. I think the Home Run Derby is really fun for kids. It is the same thing as the dunk contest. I think there's no world where the NBA needs to stop doing the dunk contest. It is stupid fun. But no player really wants to participate in it.
I love everything that I loved at the age of 12. So I think that you're still spot on in your
That's why I knew you weren't going to take offense
description.
to it.
100% will not. As soon as you said it, I was just like, there's some people that would be like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, I love 12. I love the things that I loved when I was 12. I'm also the type of person that my favorite, I mean, whether it's, you know, before a draft or if it's like some all-star game, something, I love watching like combines or drills or just, and I feel like this is kind of like a really pomp and circumstance, glitz and glam version of that for baseball. And as someone, again, as we have an entire series of me predicting series to get more into baseball, the home run derby was always a thing where I was like, look at them, they're going to hit it really hard and they're going to try to get it out of here. And like, it was so
Girls
baseline. It was
long
so
ball.
100%. So it was always so much fun for me. And it was like a lot of the flashy parts of sports that I can see a lot of people being like, it's unnecessary, we don't need it, that I just love because it's silly, goofy fun.
I want to be clear. Even though I don't normally watch the home run derby, I think it is perfect, goofy, silly fun, and they should never stop doing it.
Yes.
And I feel that way about a lot of things where I'm like, I don't need to watch this, but it is so important they do it because we talk in our normal day-to-day life about, for the longevity and health of sports, it is incredibly important to attract new young fans. And I always feel like the home run derby is a great way to attract new young fans because it's cool, it's fun, there's music, and there's always a cute story about whoever is like throwing out their pitches. Like it is fun.
Who's their pairing that they have throwing to them, and how are they here, and if it's their first, and if it's not. And then sometimes you get like really great home runs, and sometimes you don't. But like, and then it's like, all fun and games.
To represent the grumpy person, like. Here, I know exactly what my dad would say if we were arguing about this right now. He would go, but they're not real home runs. They're just hitting like softballs thrown to them. Like, it's not impressive because it's not MLB pitching. And it's like, yeah, I know. But like, you know who doesn't know that? The 10-year-old who's like, thinks it's cool. So,
like, ooh, look at it go! And it's not a real pitch, which is right.
But it's still fun. It's
still fun.
It's fun. I will tell you, keep this in your brain, in the superstition versus super stupid part of your brain. People do say that it messes with players' swings, and if you participate in the home run derby, that you're not going to hit well for the rest of the season. There's some decent statistics to back that up, but is it just coincidental?
That one event is going to screw a player. And it is such a superstition.
But it's like, I mean, it's superstition, but like the people arguing it would argue that like, everything in baseball is about these little details about your swing and your batting stance and like your timing. And is it going to like really mess up your timing and your swing because you're taking all of these reps, swinging differently, timing differently. So like, I get both sides. That's why a lot of players though don't like participating, is because they think it messes with their swing.
Superstition.
Hi, executive
producer. Hello, big yawn, puppy. Come here. If I stand up, you're gonna run away. Yes. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
I'll be back.
Come back later.
Shake, 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 shake. Come here. Come here. Yeah. Come on. Okay. Yay!
Hi.
Executive producers here for Phillies Daycare moment of the week. Hi.
Oh my gosh, he's so cute.
Thank you.
His fur's like the perfect length right now in my opinion.
Thank you. Do you have words?
Daycare moment of the week.
That's just Roe being Roe. He gets it with the best of them, and that's why he's.
That's a cup of pickles. The first cup is pickles. There's an Uncrustable, and he threw the Uncrustable. Oh, thank God they picked up the Uncrustable. Don't waste an Uncrustable. Wait, there's so much happening.
Oh, it might actually be pickles.
It's pickles! There's definitely also sunflower seeds.
And then the second one is sunflower seeds. Pickles! The dramatic bite of the Uncrustable. Chucking it at Stott.
And then the Spider-Man catch receive.
Oh yeah, the catch to receive it at the end back is so
just
impressive.
Like a show off.
Yeah, so this is definitely the Daycare moment of the week, is Marsh being given an Uncrustable and taking the most dramatic bite out of it. But Nicole loves Uncrustables, which is why I needed.
I'm gonna have one after this.
I really think at some point, because Marsh is normally the leader of the daycare doing this to other people, like I really hope at some point when he gets daycared later in the season that the entire team comes out and just harasses him because they're also tired of him harassing them. But it's too early in the season for that.
This is picking it up. This is like snack time. What a perfect caption, really. There's no other better way to describe it, is snack time.
I can't believe I missed the pickles.
I can't believe you missed the pickles
so many times. Yeah.
It's the first thing that I saw. I almost missed the Uncrustable because of the pickles.
Yeah,
wow,
that's why I was like,
stop
focusing on
great snacks. I would thrive. There's so many good snacks in a baseball dugout, and bubble gum. Ooh.
I was like, stop focusing on the pickles. The Uncrustable is about to come up.
It's a pop culture timeout. Time to take a break from scores and stats to cover the latest in pop culture, where MVPs step aside for VIPs.
It's time for a pop culture timeout, everybody. In between all of our sports talking, I'm here to give you everything that you need to know about pop culture news that's happening in the world of sports. And all over the world of sports, there is a ton of pop culture news. But I have to start with my favorite thing of the year. The Summer Olympics are just around the corner. And NBC has been releasing their correspondents, and there are a ton of celebrities that are going to be hosting different events during the games. Thank goodness Snoop Dogg is making his return, because honestly, I don't think you can have an Olympics without Snoop Dogg being a correspondent on sports that he has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. Particularly horseback riding is really fun to watch Snoop Dogg really get invested in. Kelly Clarkson, Peyton Manning are also going to be hosting. Russell Crowe, Priyanka Chopra, Ryan Reynolds, Colin Jost. They also tried to get celebrities from different nations that have different rooting interests and not just Team USA, which I found really interesting. Something super cool and a big marketing move this year is NBC's really leaning into utilizing influencers as part of their correspondence. They have Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy podcast is holding interviews and hosting different highlight shows on Peacock with Kenan Thompson and Kevin Hart. So what a combination of people. Alex Cooper, Kenan Thompson, and Kevin Hart talking about the Olympics. A quick call out regarding the USA uniforms, if you haven't seen it on our post game. Hey, Team USA, I think it's time to say goodbye to Ralph Lauren. You know, there's plenty of other American brands that we can team up with that will make us all look like, you know, stuck-up, stuffy individuals. Look at Canada. They're in Lululemon, and they look fantastic. LeBron has confirmed that the 2024 Olympics will be his last Olympics competing with Team USA. And even if they're coming to LA in 2028, he will not be there. The brand new events. There's always new events coming in with every Summer Olympics, every Winter Olympics. Every Olympics, they throw in some new events and they get added, and some new athletes get to live their dreams. So we have a kayak cross, a canoe race, some artistic swimming for men. But we have to talk about breaking. Breaking is coming to the Olympics. I know, we're not talking about artistic swimming. We are talking about breaking.
Okay, are we going to circle back to artistic swimming?
At a later date, because this is talking about breaking. We can return to artistic swimming for men once it participates. But this is my campaign about breaking coming to the Olympics. And I need to be the #1 supporter about it remaining at the Olympics. So what is breaking? Are a bunch of athletes going to go into a room and like break stuff like at one of those places that you can go and pay for to let out all of their feelings? Absolutely not. This is breakdancing. Breakdancing is coming to the Olympics. 16 men and women called the B-Boys and the B-Girls are going to be in one-on-one dance competitions that start in a round robin and then move on to elimination style to the medal match. They will have 3 one-minute performances for every single contestant. Athletes are using a combination of power moves, including but not limited to windmills, the 6-step, and freezes. The best part is it's all entirely improv. They have absolutely no idea the music tracks that are going to go on, and they get points on creativity, personality, technique, variety, performativity, and musicality. Now, this is why breaking is so important to me. As of right now, the International Olympics Committee says that breaking will not be happening at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. So this is my plea. Have everyone watch breaking at the 2024 Olympics so that it remains at the Summer Olympics. Because who doesn't want to watch like a step-up version dance style break battle at the Olympics? That's incredible. If everyone promises to get into breaking, I will circle back to artistic swimming in the next pop culture timeout to let you know what the heck artistic swimming is, but this week we had to be focusing on breaking. All right, that's enough about my Olympic ranting for now. I do need to highlight that the star, Glizzy Iggy, was back at Citi Field this week. Glizzy Iggy, if you are not familiar, is the Iggy little mini greyhound that is downing hot dogs at Citi Field Mets games and is living their best life and is honestly dressed cooler than me. Iggy made a return to the Mets Rockies on Friday, and this time was not rocking the beautiful John Lennon sunglasses, but was rocking a grimace riding on his back. So one celebrity star icon of the Mets recognizing another. Wimbledon happened, and no surprise, a bunch of celebrities showed up. Zendaya, Hugh Grant, Will Ferrell, Anya Taylor-Joy, Pierce Brosnan, Hugh Jackman, Kate Beckinsale, Tom Cruise, George Russell. I mean, like, celebrities show up for Wimbledon. But why all the white? Why do people have to wear white at Wimbledon? And I thought that it was going to be some, like, really interesting, unbelievably great answer. There really isn't one. It's that Wimbledon is like really stuck in their rules, and that tennis basically in the 1800s had a rule that you had to wear white because it limited the visibility of sweat stains, and because sweat stains were seen as improper. So the short answer is Wimbledon doesn't want to change their stuffy rules, and they have to remain the exact phrasing, almost entirely white. It's in the rule book. And yes, there's been plenty of people that have challenged it before. The only time that there is any sort of adjustment in this is they now let female athletes wear colored shorts underneath their skirts because they thought white shorts was discriminating against women that were menstruating. And honestly, yeah, that's evil. Now moving on to one of my favorite sporting events, the Eras Tour. So it's basically old news now when there's any Kansas City player at all that attends the Eras Tour. We don't even need to talk about that anymore. But when F1 drivers go to the Eras Tour, that is headline news. Because Charles Leclerc and Pierre Gasly attended the Eras Tour in Milan and were trading bracelets up the wazoo and looked like they were having a fantastic time. So thank you, Charles and Pierre, for being Swiftie girlies. Ellie the elephant, the most batty, like, confident mascot to ever exist in the world of the New York Liberty, is the first non-human to be on the cover of Time Out magazine. And she is giving everyone her best tips for being the summer's it girl. And how is Ellie spending her hot girl summer? If you have not read this article already, it is iconic and incredible, and I think we need to have more interviews with professional mascots. FX announced way back in 2021 that the creator of American Horror Story and Glee, Ryan Murphy's next project was going to be the American Sports Story. So another analogy TV series that goes through different things that happened in real life. And the first season is going to be on the Aaron Hernandez story. And after a lot of delay with writer strikes and everything like that, a premiere date has officially been announced, September 17th on FX, American Sports Story. The ESPYs happened this week. Not much to report there, besides it was hosted by Serena Williams, the GOAT of GOATs, and she had this baller incredible of a line that says, LeBron wants to win with his son on his team, but I won with my daughter in my belly, and we all know which win is way more impressive. Doesn't need to be said, but it is Serena. College football is happening so unbelievably soon. I am itching. I'm excited. I cannot wait for college football. How do we know it's happening so soon besides the fact that it's mid-July? EA Sports College Football 25 releases on July 19th. Arch Manning has announced that he will be available in the game and announced it in this really fun, adorable video with his good old Uncle Eli. This comes out after reports back in March that Arch was going to be opting out of the game and saying no to the $600 and free version of the game, and everyone was calling him a party pooper. But guess that was false news, or maybe he just changed his mind. I don't like being positive about the Marlins ever, but they are doing a SpongeBob SquarePants Day on August 11th. And if you buy a special ticket package, you get a special edition of a SpongeBob-themed Marlins jersey, and it is potentially one of the most fun sports jerseys I have ever seen in my entire life. And I just kind of need the Mets to do a SpongeBob SquarePants Day game. Literally any of my sports teams, please and thank you. I want a SpongeBob-themed jersey because I love all the things that I loved when I was 12. The American Century Championship Golf Tournament is happening. It is the celebrity golf tournament that takes place every single year in Lake Tahoe, Nevada. It's basically where we see like all of the football players that have just been hanging out and really playing golf get to play more golf together with other celebrities and professional golfers. Josh Allen, Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence, and then, getting to your celebrities, Rob McElhenney, Miles Teller, Don Cheadle, Michael Pena. But of course, I do have to talk about my favorite brothers, the Kelsey brothers. Jason did win last year, this tournament, and so Travis, they both participated this year, but Travis was seeking some advice from Jason this week on the New Heights podcast and was really worried about what happens if he were to hit someone with one of the balls. And guess what happened? Travis hit a girl with one of the balls, hit her in the head, there was some blood, it's all right, all is fine, all is okay. He took a picture with her, it's good. But Jason's advice, to Travis when he asked what happens if you hit someone, don't feel bad about it. Don't feel bad about it. They paid to be there, and it's okay if they get hit in the ball, get hit in the head with a ball by you. So don't feel bad about it. And that is why Jason won last year. TBD to who wins this year, as that's happening right now. But incredibly silly fun things. Athletes love to golf when they're not doing their own sports and everything. And that is everything we have for your pop culture timeout this week. It was a pretty hefty one. Please remember, if you want to hear anything about artistic swimming, please support breaking at this year's 2024 Summer Olympics.
It was a big, very exciting week in Phillies baseball land, and instead of dramatically affecting every segment we do on the show today, I thought I would keep it to a podium for the most part of the best things that happened in Phillies baseball this week as of 9:30 a.m. Pacific time on July 14th. All right, because with this team, I'm sure something's going to happen. Because I really struggle with this, here's some rapid fire honorable mentions.
A bonus mention because Briana struggled to make a decision.
Hibachi night.
This didn't even make your podium.
Yeah, it was a big week in Phillies baseball. Yep. A
bonus mention.
The 2 insane catches by Johan Rojas. And
a bonus mention because Briana struggled to make a decision.
Sweeping the Dodgers.
All right, let's get on podium itself.
Yes. It was the podium before the podium. There are other things I even left off that. I was like, I need to limit my honorable mentions. This team is too fun. Too many good things happen all the time. All right.
In P3.
Discovering that the key to the Phillies' success is a fog machine. So apparently Aaron Nola a couple years ago purchased a fog machine and put it next to Zach Wheeler's locker, and after wins they set off the fog machine. And the reason we discovered it this week is because Nola recently bought a bigger, more powerful model because the other one was leaking and wasn't creating good smoke anymore. So there's a new smoke machine in the Phillies locker room, and apparently it's important to their post-victory celebration.
I'm shocked that doesn't set off the smoke alarm.
Well, it's not like smoke, like fire smoke. It's like a spooky Halloween smoke machine. Yeah. I can't believe, one, that we've never heard of this before now. I can believe it's very on brand for this team that they love a fog machine.
In P2.
Everything Tyler Phillips. Incredibly wholesome story. South Jersey kid gets his first MLB start for the team that he loved, like violently loves. He is a diehard Philadelphia fan. His dad had season tickets. His grandpa had season tickets. Going to the Philadelphia Phillies, he's been to hundreds of games. There's fantastic stories that I talked about last week about him attending like tailgates for the Eagles. Like he's burnt a couch before, which is so Philadelphia. I love it. Everything about this story is incredible. I'll talk about it more in the post game, but everything Tyler Phillips was like just made me want to cry all day.
In P1.
Trey Turner's grand slam, game 1, 4th inning versus the Dodgers. There are very few things that can happen in regular season baseball that gives me a postseason feeling. That grand slam, I was shaking and screaming. And I was watching the game by myself. Honestly, my neighbors probably thought I was psychotic and something was wrong. But no, it was just that grand slam. Like, inject the cover, like the sounds, the feelings of it into my veins forevermore. Like, and it was the first game, so I didn't know how they were going to stack up. Like at that point, I didn't know they were going to sweep the Dodgers. And that was the moment where I was like,
it could happen.
Maybe I can talk about how this
Maybe
team
we
is
can
actually
sweep.
good. I talk all the time about how I don't know how to be the best team in baseball. Like, I don't know how to root for a team that is that dominant and that good. And that moment, I was like, I get it. I can be a cocky asshole.
Totally normal reaction.
Uh-huh. And those were my personal favorite moments in Philadelphia Phillies baseball for the week.
Well, we're stressed about the NFL season, but we're also excited. But we're stressed. But we're excited.
I love that we are decided to start our NFL season preview now, because it gave me an excuse to start like reading up and like reminding myself like which players like left teams and are on new teams, and like it got me unbelievably excited for the NFL season.
Not that it takes very much to get us unbelievably excited about this, but we are starting our preview for the NFL season this year, going through each team by division as we get closer and closer to the start of the season. So 53 days to the NFL season right now. What? Is that it? 53 days?
I know. I put this on the outline because I was like, and it's only 25 days until the preseason, and it's less than 2 weeks until the Eagles report to training camp, which I don't know what anyone else whose team you're listening to this. Could I have looked up the first day of training camp starts? Yeah, but I really don't care. I just care when the Eagles start.
So a fun, exciting way of going through this is for all of the teams that we go through and all of the mashups, Brianna's going to give us a kind of inkling feeling as to how worried she would feel right now with everything that she knows if the Eagles were to play them. So like a panic scale, a stress scale, a little bit of a preview of how we're feeling, throwing out some vibes and feelers. And again, it's all preseason. This is all kind of like speculation based on the information that we have right now.
Yeah. Could I explain to you how good a team is going to be, or I predict them to be, or Nicole predicts them to be? Sure. Is that as much fun as telling you how stressed I would be if the Eagles have to play them? Yeah, that's the more fun option. And at another sports show, we always lean into the more fun option, which is showing you how anxious of a sports fan I actually am. They all have only experienced
We're fine.
They've all only experienced me, Nicole, with the Phillies being the best team in baseball, which I don't even know how to handle. This is a more authentic me that they're about to get, which is just me being worried about the Eagles.
Yes, yeah, this is the Brianna I know more often than not is the anxious Philadelphia Eagles fan Brianna. But that is okay. So our first division that we're going through, AFC East. Ta-da! Starting with the Bills. Happy Sunday. Let's play the Bills today. How are we feeling?
I am feeling okay. So the thing about the Bills is they've had an incredibly interesting offseason where they've had some big name departures.
Bye-bye, Diggs. Adios.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing about Stephon Diggs leaving is that the way they adjusted the team towards the end of the season when they overtook the Dolphins for the division lead, which is why we're starting with them, we're going in division order, they weren't really using Diggs, but I cannot imagine one of the best wide receivers in football being like, your team doesn't get better by losing talent. That being said, Josh Allen is, I think, inarguably a top 3 quarterback. So I'm always going to feel pretty nervous if the Eagles had to play the Bills at any point.
It's always enough that it has the ability to make plays, get things done. It will be very interesting to see him without Diggs this year, but Josh Allen has definitely proven his capabilities as a quarterback.
So how I really measure, is a team going to be good, or how worried I am, is how they line up on the offensive line and defensive line, specifically with the Eagles, who are always very good in the trenches on both sides. So to the point of Josh Allen, this team is going to be good offensively. I would be shocked because he is him. PFF rates their offensive line number 8 in the league. It's a top tier offensive line. So he's going to be protective. They've shown they can scheme an offense for Josh Allen. The interesting thing is, how is this team going to stack up on defense?
Hmm.
Their defensive line PFF, which is not an end-all be-all ranking, I just needed to pick one to have a conversation today about all these teams. They have them ranked straight middle of the pack 16. And I think a big thing about their defense for the year is they've had older defensive stars, and they haven't had the young guys step up. So there's just like middle of the pack unknown there.
I feel like
So
once you
if
have a team at that mid rank, it's almost like, well, we don't know. It
We
could
don't know.
legitimately just be either way of like
Right.
really great,
Shouldn't be
or
awful.
just be the downfall.
Right. I feel very similarly. So on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being I would absolutely spiral and panic all week as a Philly fan, or 10, I'd be like, easy, no worries at all. The Buffalo Bills to me are a solid 4 because I know that I would be panicking because of Josh Allen. And I think the game last year would be a decent indicator of how I would feel about the game this year, where it's like Josh Allen is going to do something stupid and ridiculous, and that the game's going to be closer than I think it probably should be based on the talent stack up of the two teams.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be spiral panicking more than an average amount because Josh Allen is Josh Allen. And I love that really all I've said about the Bills is Josh Allen is Josh Allen. And like, what else are you going to say about this team? Like,
Josh Allen is Josh Allen.
yeah.
All right, so moving on to our next matchup with very definitely interesting previous season, the Miami Dolphins. Should we still be scared? Do we feel like they're still the team that we are worth having a conversation about?
The Dolphins are a weird team to me because they put up historic offensive numbers last season and then collapsed towards the end, meaning they didn't win the division, and then did not put up a great performance in the playoffs. I've also, in the NFL, I can't remember the last time I saw such crazy home and away splits. That's normally something you see in baseball. And like, it's wild to me that if they're at home, everything's great and they're going to be this historic offense. And if they're on the road, they look like a shell of themselves. Like, that's not how football should work. It's very confusing for me. I don't think there's any reason to believe that the Dolphins are going to be the historic offense they were at the beginning of last season because it was historic for a reason. I think they're still going to be very good, though. The interesting thing is all the turnover they had on defense. So their defensive coordinator actually is now the defensive coordinator over at the Eagles. They had extreme turnover in the defense. And I really feel like, okay, I'm going to sound like an old person. Like, defense wins championships. Like, no, but like defense, I don't think defense wins championships, but defense allows for a floor on a team that can remain consistent when you have a spiky offense. So I think that if the Dolphins will worry me a lot more is if the season starts and they show that they have a competent baseline floor of a defense. When I say there's a lot of turnover, so they lost Christian Wilkins off their defensive line. They also said goodbye to Van Ginkel. Their PFF rates their defensive line 25th in the league. And it is very hard for me to be worried about a defensive unit with a subpar pass rush. It's just like, to me, that's like great.
Just gonna
The talent on the Eagles is going to eat you alive.
Yeah, it's just gonna be able to breeze right through, and
yeah,
then everyone's just gonna end up being gassed.
I also think that the way they have structured this Miami offense hid how mediocre at best this offensive line has historically been. Now, I don't want to harp on their PFF grade of being 18th in the league on offensive line because I think they've shown through scheming and Tua's quick release that it doesn't have to matter for them, but it is much harder to play football without the protection on the line up front. Oh, yeah. So I constantly will always not be super anxious about the Dolphins team until they prove that in the trenches they're better than mediocre at best.
And there was, plenty of conversation at the start of last year of Tua's like risk for injury, and honestly also kind of feel like as he gets older, that's just more likely. I think, yeah, they have Tyreek Hill, but can only do so much being like just the guy.
For all of these reasons, I do think the Dolphins will still be good, but I'm only putting them at a 6 in my worry scale.
Beyond. All right. Moving on. Next opponent. Eagles playing the Jets.
I like that you
Last
attempted
year?
to say that with an extreme amount of confidence.
It was like satirical confidence, but also remembering last year of Eagles being undefeated and then somehow losing to the Jets. And
that was awful.
You're so welcome to bringing that up again. So we're back. We're talking about the Jets, Eagles, Jets. We panicked. We not panicked because it's the Jets, or is last year kind of have us just a little bit like, well, why?
This Jets defense is unreal. And they didn't have enough turnover year over year for me to think that they wouldn't be unreal this year. Now, unfortunately, you need to score points.
Yeah, that was like it's mediocre offense.
Right. So whatever has just popped into your head, anyone listening to this, whatever has just popped into your head, like the Jets offense will be better because Aaron Rodgers is back, because they have different play callers, they have different, like whatever in your head just popped in. There's a lot of ifs. If everything goes perfectly for the Jets on offense, this team is a Super Bowl contender. But there are so many factors that make that hard for me to, in my personal tier of, oh, you're coming into the season as a Super Bowl contender, it is hard for me to put the Jets in that category with little to no information. Also thinking about how hard it is for defense to transfer, like defensive performance to be the same year over year. There's normally a lot of variation in that. Like, you know, if a team gets a lot of turnovers, like that's normally not able to be replicated. All of that being said, the Jets, according to PFF, and I agree with this, have the best defensive line in all of football going into the year. They have a great offensive line. I think this team has all of the pieces if they have a quarterback that is honestly just okay.
So you just end sentence with have a quarterback, period. Like it's
I
so
feel
hard
like I
to
need
make
to
a judgment of like I
qualify
want.
this.
Yeah, like will Aaron Rodgers make it beyond one possession this season? Really is when we feel like we can start having
Will
a real
Aaron
conversation.
Will Aaron Rodgers agree to go to training camp? Like right now, I don't even know if this man is going to ever, like, I don't know. And that was a big bad injury for someone his age. So it's so hard to project. I also just need to say that they're the Jets, and it's just a team where until they show it to me, I struggle to believe it. So despite the loss last year, and we all know what happened with the Eagles last year, they had a complete mental breakdown. So it's not like, but they're 5 for me. Like straight down the middle. Like, would I be a little nervous? But like, no, I'd probably spend the entire week going, it's the Jets.
Yeah, it's the Jets.
No. Until I see a quarterback play the quarterback at a competent level, I can't be more worried than a 5.
Till I see a quarterback be a quarterback. Really not asking for too much, but is exactly.
I feel like that has been your entire life as a Jets fan is, could we just have a quarterback be a quarterback? Like,
just please, maybe. We're so close. It was just, Wrapping up, the Patriots. This is our last matchup we'll talk about this week in preparation. Belichick has gone bye-bye. So a different kind of Patriots that everyone's so accustomed to talking about. How are we feeling?
I do think the coach turnover is an interesting start to a new era for this team. Belichick is inarguably, in my opinion, the greatest coach of all time. But change can be good. Change in how you do things, bringing in new ideas, new people to motivate players differently. Every account I have read, it seems like the players love their new coach because they promoted internally.
Mm-hmm.
So I think us around the league, we're like, oh, who? But internally, it seems like they have planned for this transition and that this, he has very much impressed the players and the Patriots organization. So I think they're going to get a boost from the new coach, just from the fact that it's new. Normally you get a little, like, coach has to be pretty...
morale.
Woo! Yeah. The biggest thing holding the Patriots back is they don't have a quarterback yet. So right now it seems like Brissett is the odds favorite to start over
the
first round.
Potential guy. He's potentially him.
Right. He seems to be the odds favorite to start over first round draft pick Drake May. But it is all up in the air. So of all the teams here, like they have the most interesting quarterback situation. So I'm going to be excited to revisit this at the start of the season when we talk about who actually wins this quarterback battle in training camp. Because of course, like they invested a huge asset in Drake May by drafting him 3rd overall. So if he looks incredible or even serviceable in training camp, I'm sure they're going to start him. But that's going to keep the ceiling of this team down, despite the fact that I think they have an incredible defense. They had what I think the underlying metrics, no matter how you sliced it, had them as a top 3 defense all last season. They didn't have a lot of turnover. PFF grades their defensive line, though, as middle of the pack, as 15th. Their secondary was really where their strength was. Again, that's hard to replicate, but they have all the pieces there to replicate it. But none of that will matter if their 28th ranked by PFF offensive line can't keep their mediocre or young quarterback upright. So all of that's to say, I give them a 7 on my Eagles panic scale.
Okay.
Yep. And I think that's mostly just because the idea of giving anyone an 8, 9, or 10, I'm just too
We're not ready. It's too early for that.
I'm like, and this is likely to be one of the worst teams in the league. Looking at the AFC East as a whole, though, this is a competitive division. So I do think when we get to the end of this upcoming NFL season, there's going to be teams on this list that were like, wow, they really disappointed. And part of that, I think, is going to be because they have to play each other. They don't get the luxury of the Chiefs to like beat up on their crappy division. So, like, the Jets might actually be great and still finish the same in the division because, or
everyone else is just so lights out.
Right. Oh, or the same with the Bills. The Bills might end up 3rd in the division, and we might be like, what went wrong with the Bills? It's like, well, actually, the Jets completely hit their ceiling, and the Dolphins completely hit the ceiling. So I feel like this division is going to have coaches fired and heads roll by the end of the year, no matter what.
Turmoil!
Yeah, just because I think there's 3 teams. Again, if I'm thinking best case scenario for Jets as I'm saying this. There are 3 teams that all are sitting there like, we could win the Super Bowl this year. Yeah. And that there's going to be someone who has to finish 3rd.
So it'll be someone, and someone will lose their job. Right. But
going through this, though, I thought we were going to start in the AFC East, and I was just going to sit here and tell you why I'm panicking about every single team. But having to do the research before this and talking this all out now, I am only moderately panicked about all of these if the Eagles played them. And a lot of that comes from
panicked in the middle of July.
Totally normal reaction.
We have superlatives, and superlatives can be for anything. So if you have not participated in some of my superlatives in the past, basically I pick a topic and I give superlatives to anything, any person, any team, anything that I want because it's my rules and I make them up and you're welcome for it. So I am here to give some of my NFL offseason superlatives, which I'm sure these can be ongoing because there's just always some kind of fun things going on with different teams and players. First, we'll dive into going off of, we've had some Philly energy talking this week about the Phillies, but now we'll also, and the Eagles. So now we'll give the Eagles a little bit of a nod with the underestimated underdog award. If you've missed our post game, Briana's, we dove into the NFL network completely undermining the power of the Eagles offense, and that's kind of continuously happening. So it's no surprise. Eagles are once again giving this underdog mentality a go.
This roster should never be an underdog. I will die on that hill. If this team underperforms, great, but they are not underdogs. This roster is
want a
too
team
good.
That's overperforming, but then maintaining having an underdog mentality, just like thinking that way. And speaking about underdogs, in certain ways, hopefully just not the Jets. I'm giving them the not so positive pants award. Now, Jets didn't get the most ideal playing schedule. Lots of Thursday night games, lots of Monday night games, and getting to MetLife Stadium in general sucks. So, not so positive pants. Jets are already offering a rebate to sell back tickets from their fans that they can get credit for the 2025 to 2026 season. So, they're really expecting people to be jazzed and supportive during the week for them. Talking to the Patriots, new dad, who dis? Got a new coach. Seems like could be vibes, but it's an entirely different team atmosphere mentality. So new dad, who dis? That's new type of Patriots this year. Next team, superlative, New York Giants. The butthurt buddies. We understand. You were all mad at Saquon. Wow. Turns out your front office just screwed you and we're going to be negative Nellies forever. Wah, 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 wah. So sad.
Oh, yeah, I don't know why I made the noise when I could hit the
because we
soundboard.
love making noises sometimes, and yeah. But guess what, Giants? Go be butthurt somewhere else, or just continue to be butthurt. Saquon didn't abandon you; your front office did. Individual athletes doing lots of cool and fun things, pursuing different passions besides the pigskin and the sport that they play all the time. Joe Burrow, Mr. Fashionista Award. Joe Burrow, don't let your friends bully you in group chats. Continue being the fashionista that you are, and you just love it. And we love athletes that also pursue an interest in area in fashion because it's super fun. And it's the only person that I ever want to see not putting an effort going to a sporting event is Jason Kelce because he's only allowed to wear flip-flops. Speaking of Kelce's, he's not retired, but he's pursuing a new career. Travis Kelce gets the Best New Backup Dancer Award. And I don't need to explain to why, but new career of best. I don't get the best speaking award. I get but Travis Kelce does get the new best backup dancer award for his new career as being an international pop superstar sensation.
As I alluded to last week, there were actually Phillies who deserved an All-Star Game nod that were left off the list. One of them was Christopher Sanchez, and he actually got an All-Star nod this week, making it a record-tying 8 players for the Philadelphia Phillies attending the All-Star Game next week.
We have our Wimbledon Finals outcome winners for both men's and women's singles. Men's, we have Carlos Alcaraz, and women's, Barbora Krejcikova.
Bryce Harper this week joins a list of 17 active players who have homered against every team in the MLB. He's one of 3 players who achieved this feat this year. But guess what? There's a player currently playing for the Mets who also has this stat. Nicole, do you have a guess on which Mets player has homered against every team?
Pete Alonso?
Nope, it is JT Martinez, and the 30th and final team he homered against to get this was actually the Mets. He achieved this August 22nd, 2017.
Incredible.
I will point that this feat has been made easier since the 2023 adjustment to the schedule where everyone plays every team more, but it's still a very limited list of active players. So it's a cool fun fact.
Caitlin Clark becomes the first rookie in the WNBA history to have multiple games with 20-plus points and over 10 assists.
Pittsburgh Pirates rookie Paul Skeens will be the first rookie to start the All-Star Game since 1995.
This weekend's British Formula 4 Championship is making history with 8 women drivers participating, and that includes 5 of the F1 Academy drivers. So this is the highest ever level of women's participation in the championship.
If you missed it, the Killers stopped their concert midway through to watch the final minutes of the England Euros semifinals win up on the big screen. As soon as the win was confirmed, they immediately went into playing Mr. Brightside.
Thank you for listening to another sports show. Thank you to our co-creators, Nicole Katz and Briana Klein. Thank you to the four-legged executive producers and me, VoiceOver Man. Make us one of your stars of the game by subscribing, liking the video, and turning on auto downloads. Make our day by leaving us a review on your podcast platform of choice and a comment on YouTube. Attend the postgame on social media for exclusive daily content. We'll be back to review the playbook every week. See you next Tuesday.
Today was another sports show, but it wasn't level-headed.